Hi, my name is Bertram Goldhagen, also known as Bertram the Voice Geek. So, needless to say, I'm a voice teacher and I work with both singers and speakers. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I have to offer. And I suppose a good place to start would be to talk a little bit about my philosophy of teaching voice. So for that, I have a personal mission statement, which goes like this: to cultivate vocal expressiveness by teaching with kindness, humor, patience, simple terminology, body awareness, and applied science. And I have to say, to that end, I always create a fun, non judgmental, and supportive environment in classes and in my individual sessions with people. So I've worked with adult singers and speakers for over 38 years, and I'm very happy to work with any skill level. I love, I have a lot to offer professionals, of course, but I also love working with beginners, and I'm sensitive to the voice issues of transgender people and have experience working with them as well. I'm also an accomplished singer, so I practice what I preach. Now, a little bit about that voice geek thing. So, the reason I consider myself a voice geek, which I've done for quite a while now, is because I've been fascinated by the human voice since I was a kid, and I remember listening to singers and speakers and observing what worked and what didn't. It was kind of instinctive for me, and I didn't know what was going on exactly, but I knew what I heard. I was a soprano at the time and sang freely and easily. In fact, Julie Andrews and I were tight, and I sang every note along with her. Eventually, I got hooked on studying everything about the voice: how it functions, anatomy, physiology, acoustics, psychology, everything. So now I can tell you anything you want to know about the human voice in detail using simple terminology. And if I don't know an answer to a question, I will look it up and figure it out. One of the forces that caused me to tip over the edge of geekiness was that while I had some great voice teachers over the years, I never had a teacher who knew how to teach my voice. And since I'm a low bass, and there aren't a lot of us around, one particularly bad graduate school teacher insisted I was a high baritone and proceeded to try to convince me he was right. Well, I respected him and I thought he knew what he was talking about, so I did what he said. But it felt really uncomfortable and it was really hard a lot of the time. But I did my best. So by the time I finally came to my senses, he had left me so tense that I ended up being uncomfortable singing or speaking in public for years because I couldn't trust my voice to work right. I did sing in public and speak in public, of course, but and people liked what they heard. They complimented me. It sounded great. I was a good musician. I knew what I was doing, but it was always uncomfortable and it never felt right. So, getting back to that teacher, I quit studying with him and set out to figure it out for myself. I decided that I couldn't trust teachers anymore, and I already had a lot of science, so I studied all the information I could find and trusted my instincts. Eventually, I began to experiment with specific massage techniques that helped me relax the muscles in my throat enough that I was actually able to overcome the mess the teacher had made. And my voice started to really open up. My range dropped down to where it wanted to be. In fact, it was a little weird because it kept going down and down, deeper and deeper every day, and I began to wonder how deep would it go. It did stop, of course, at the bottom, quite low. But most importantly, I was finally able to sing freely and comfortably like back in the day when I was a soprano. Naturally, I began to wonder if there were people who had made similar discoveries and eventually found the McCloskey Institute of Voice and the McCloskey Technique. So, as far as I was concerned, they were kindred spirits. The McCloskey Technique uses specific massage techniques developed through applied science, which means it's based on how our anatomy, physiology, and vocal acoustics naturally function. And then it builds your voice carefully from there. So it's a little bit like the Alexander technique, if you know what that is. It's about breaking it down to the very basics and rebuilding your voice carefully and freely. With all that in mind, I would have to say my approach to teaching voice focuses on your entire body, not just what's in your throat. And really, on a basic level, working on vocal technique is an athletic process. It's all about the muscles and getting them to work together. So I tend to think of myself as a personal trainer for singing and speaking. Also, I have to say I don't follow any particular method for teaching, and the McCloskey technique isn't a method, it's a technique. If I have a method, it's to listen and figure out what exercises work for a particular client's voice based on what they say they feel and what I have learned about their voice. You know, I have to say, some people take to singing and speaking like ducks to water and have no problems. Most of us struggle at some point, at least. In my case, when I was a soprano, I didn't have any problems, but when I became a bass, I struggled for years. I couldn't figure it out. In my opinion, those of us who've gone through voice struggles make better teachers because we had to figure it out the hard way. It's a theory, I could be wrong, but anyway, there are a lot of good voice teachers who had an easy time of learning, I guess. Anyway, based on the premise that singing should always be free and easy, I've created a list of what an effective voice teacher is. So, number 1, an effective voice teacher will understand and absorb voice science and apply it to their teaching in a way that you will comprehend. Number 2, an effective voice teacher will let your true voice reveal itself, then follow it wherever it goes with encouragement and well-informed, supportive instruction. Number 3, an effective voice teacher who can't answer a question you might have will admit to it and then take the time to research the issue rather than blowing you off, make something up, or worse, gaslighting you. Number 4, an effective voice teacher won't jump to conclusions about your voice. They will guide you by listening to how you describe your own experience, believe you, and then let your voice guide the process. 5, an effective voice teacher will engage in deep listening with the goal of achieving complete relaxation when singing and speaking. And finally, an effective voice teacher will help you learn how to feel your body guiding you as a singer and a speaker. So you can find out more information about me and what I offer at the link below. If you want to get to work on your voice right away, go to my website and fill out the form on the Sign Up page to apply to either get into my class, Steps to Success, How Your Body Wants to Sing and Speak, or to request individual sessions. I also offer choir workshops. So if you want me to come and work with your choir, I love doing that a lot. Also, check out the Voice Fun Facts videos that I'll be posting. And of course, while you're at it, click on subscribe and like before you forget. Thanks for watching.